Hello, here we go. It's the Kopite Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Kopite Podcast. I'm Mick and I'm joined by Kristian as usual. Kristian, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. But it's not about us today. It's about our special guest, Dorothea. We're not sure on the title of this show because we're hopefully going to do some more of these, but we're thinking Kopite Chronicles or Kopite Stories or something like that. So if you've watched this video, let us know what type of title you want for it. But I'm going to go with Kopite Chronicles for now because it sounds good. But yeah, we're joined by Dorothea, who has set up a Sober Spirit of Shankly initiative. You might have seen a tweet on Twitter, which did get quite a lot of traction and was you've done an interview with the Echo and stuff like that to kind of get a lot of, it seemed like a lot of people were interested in this, which and quite rightly so, because it's a good thing for people who want to live that way and have stuff like that. So yeah, how are you doing, Dorothea?
Well, hi, thank you. I'm good. Nervous to be on my first podcast ever, but I'm happy you invited me. I'm really glad to be here.
No, it's no problem. It's something that obviously you messaged Kristian and then I saw the tweet and I just thought that's something that, as me and Kristian, who are match going fans and obviously drinking a lot, to see the other side of the spectrum is something that obviously you can't ignore that, and obviously that's why we thought this would be a good show, especially if people can definitely relate to something like this if they've been through similar things. But so whereabouts are you from?
I'm Swedish. So I'm living in Sweden at the moment, just like Kristian. But I've been around the world. I lived in Australia and Germany and Portugal and here and there. But I'm back now. So I'm in Sweden.
Nice. Where in Australia? I lived there for a year.
Yeah, I lived in Sydney.
Oh, in Sydney. I only visited Sydney, but I lived in Bendigo, which is like north of Melbourne or something like that, like 2 hours north or something like that. And then I was traveling around. So nice.
Yeah. I wish I would have lived in Melbourne, actually. I did the mistake of first living and then traveling.
Yeah, well.
Oh, well.
Maybe you can go back one day, hopefully.
You're making me all jealous here because I've never been to Australia and I want to. Thanks for that. So, Dorothea, just tell us a little bit, obviously, about this whole thing that you've started, the Sober Spirit of Shankly, and what was the inspiration, obviously personal experience and the other stuff that went into it.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit over 5 years clean and sober. And in May, me and my boyfriend Carl, who actually got me into Liverpool, we decided to go to Paris for the Champions League final. And it was a weekend. We were there Thursday to Sunday. And on Friday, I started feeling like, wow, it's a lot of beer here for me to be around. Maybe I should try and see if there's other sober people. So I started looking for it first, like on NA and AA meetings, like 12 steps. Didn't find any English speaking. Looked in WhatsApp groups. I didn't find anything. So I got it through it on my own, which was fine. Like, it was a really fun weekend. But on Sunday, I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, maybe we should start some group for this. Like, I bet among these, what were we, 50, 60,000 Liverpool supporters, there must have been other sober people like me. And luckily, I was talking to a good friend of mine. His name is Daniel, and he was so supportive. And he's like, yeah, you should do this. You should get the Liverpool Foundation on board. You should, like, he really, and it's important to have someone who believes in your project early on. So I just got straight home and I started putting up a Twitter, emailing people. And it took a few months before I got the project, like, before I got my first members. So for a month, it was only me. Yeah, so that's how it started. And at the moment, I think we're around 28 members in the WhatsApp group. And we're also, so you can be a member of the Sober Spirit of Shankly, or member, like, you can be part of it in two ways. Either like the WhatsApp group where we talk and we share photos and like a normal supporters group. Or you can also sign up for a newsletter if you don't want to be that interactive with other people. And it's a monthly newsletter where we just tell the news, which isn't a lot at the moment, but hopefully with time will grow and there will be more things happening and we'll have meetups and things like that.
Is there like a social media channel for the group that you can like interact with other supporters, an more easy way to see for people to see what's going on? Because I guess I know obviously with your Twitter people can connect with you, but is there a Twitter or social media, Instagram, whatever for the group so people can actually see maybe what you're doing and get inspired and actually get in touch in that way?
No, actually not. I was thinking if I should do a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter, but I thought if I have the email group and like you can get the email once a month, that will be like one connecting thing because an email everyone has. But maybe I should actually get something broader out where people can follow us. But at the moment, you can follow me on Twitter. You can write an email to soberspiritofshankly@gmail.com if you have any questions. But yeah, I started the group in June, so hopefully we'll keep growing.
No, it's only if you only started in June, it's only early days, isn't it? And I suppose it takes time to build anything. If you want to start something, obviously you said in the tweet that you didn't find anything like the stuff that you wanted to create, so you created it yourself. So it's something like that if you're passionate about, and there's obviously going to be like-minded people who maybe aren't Liverpool fans. I mean, they might even be wanting to be part of something like that, even if, because I've not seen many of stuff like this, because I don't imagine, like I said earlier, like when you go to the match, for me anyway, like it goes hand in hand, and maybe that's something that is just because of a cultural thing in England and whatever country you're watching football in. But there's obviously people that don't want to do that or can't do that, so I imagine it's something that could be on the rise in terms of maybe speaking out and creating stuff like this where you can all interact and have a similar experience because and enjoy it in a different way, rather than the way that most of the supporters enjoy it, which is a good thing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I have great visions for this group. I think it's going to really grow. And I also had people write to me on Twitter and be like, "Can you start a similar group for Arsenal?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
you go do that."
You're too busy.
But I'm really happy people are like reaching out and like, this is a great idea. And we have one guy in our group. His name is Gordon. He lives in the States, and he's like, "I'm 25 years clean or something, and I've always been longing for this. Like, it's so cool that it's finally happening. Like, why didn't anyone think of this before?" And so many of the long time clean people, they're like, this has really been missing. It's really hard for me to find this because if you live in the States or anywhere else, it's really hard to find other Liverpool supporters who are also clean. And you go to the pub, you find all the Liverpool supporters, of course, but you feel somewhat a bit of an alien. And it's a shame because the whole one point of being a supporter is the unity of like standing together, and then you sort of feel like you're not in it the same way as everyone else. So the reception has been great, and even among people who are like heavy drinkers and love their beer, they're like, "Yeah, you go," and that's also cool. Yeah.
And that's the support you like, I guess, when don't be ignored by people who do drink, that you actually stand up for what you believe and that what you need. And that's a good thing, because there's a, it needs to be a place for people who don't drink for whatever reasons to actually be able to go to the match and feel that they can enjoy and actually be part of a group, because that's what's, being a supporter is all about, in my opinion. Even if you go and I do, go and have a beer because that's something that it's something that you just do, but you don't think there might be people around you that can't drink for whatever reason. So it's a good thing. And I was just thinking now, you said it's early days since you started this group, but you heard from people that actually saying, can you start this for Arsenal or whatever club? But it could be something to actually going forward, with in the future. That could be something like, Sober Football Fans Group, and then you can actually connect to whoever wants to actually join. So there's great opportunities in that kind of stuff, and a place for people to actually speak out and feel part of a community and find a place, which I think is really, really important. So yeah, it's really good. I was thinking, you started and you said you went to Paris for the Champions League final, and you mentioned there was loads of, booze around that you felt like, oh, that isn't like not a feeling that you don't enjoy and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe you could tell your story to us and the listeners, why you felt that way. Because you mentioned obviously you've been clean and sober for, what did you say? I can't remember now.
5 years, a bit more.
5 years. So I think it would be very interesting to hear your story. So
Yeah, sure. My story, I had a really like a rocket career when it came to booze and drugs. So I started not even very young, around 20 when I got to Sydney. Started drinking more and more and having fun with drugs. And 4 years later, when I'm around 24, it wasn't very fun anymore. What started out as a party, I just felt like it's not even a party anymore. I'm not enjoying this. I'm doing the same thing every single day. I worked at a bar. I did drugs and drinks all the time. And as any person who has been around alcoholics or other addicts knows, like it gets really dark when you try to stop and you can't, like you start to feel like you're losing control over your own will. So in 2017, I hit my famous rock bottom, and it feels like a blessing now looking back that I was so young. I was 24. I checked myself into rehab, and I stayed in this rehab for 3 months, and then I did something called like an after rehabilitation from home. So I did quite a heavy rehabilitation for a year, which was great for me. You got to work everything through, and of course a very difficult year in general. And from there, I've been staying clean with the help of a 12-step program. For the first years, I was a very dedicated member to that, and it's been helping me just to, stay clean. But I've also been, which goes hand in hand, what I'm about to say, with this vision for the Liverpool support group, is that I've been very keen to like still be me. Like one reason why I wanted to go into rehab was so that I could go back to the dance floors in Berlin and keep having fun. Like I felt like I lost myself and I wasn't enjoying the things I once enjoyed. And I wanted to get back to that. And you can sometimes feel like there's not a very united view on that. Some people are like, you need to leave your life behind. Don't hang out with the same people. Don't go to the same places, which is a great advice the first year in sobriety or the first year in recovery, I think, or 2 or however long you need. But at one point, I needed to get back to me. Like I needed to go back to the clubs, keep having fun, keep being me. That way, it's also easier to stay clean if you feel like you're actually being true to yourself. And that's why I envision for a lot of people who are like heavy Liverpool supporter or like dedicated supporters. Yeah, in the beginning, it can be really wise to stay away because it does trigger a lot in the beginning. But at one point, like, are you not going to be yourself? Are you not going to? I want people to keep doing whatever they love in a clean way because I believe that will help you to stay clean in the long run. Do you follow like my thinking? Instead of staying away, like find a way of doing it, of keep doing it, but in a healthy manner?
Yes, I really agree with the thought of that. I understand the first year, like you said, you keeping away and all that, but I understand the feeling of not being yourself and enjoying the things you always enjoyed. But it's more about actually to control the addiction and get rid of the bad stuff, but to be able to actually, like you mentioned, dance on the dance floors in Berlin and actually enjoy what you actually like, but without the dark side of it. So there's so many things that you can actually do and enjoy in your life without alcohol or drugs, because whatever enjoyments or interests you have, it brings a light to your life if you do them. But if you take it all away, I guess your life will become very dark anyway, in my opinion. I can just go to myself without having had like issues like that. But if you actually stop doing things you love, then you feel depressed, you feel down. So it's quite a logical way of thinking, I would say. But obviously more a tough road to go to actually stay away from an addiction problem, because I guess with people having addictions, it's not the easiest path. It might be for some, but I think obviously it's a way of I wouldn't say struggle, but fight, for people to actually fight against it and hopefully live happily instead.
Yeah, exactly. And so I hope that whenever someone feels the need to quit beer, if they come to or alcohol in general or drugs, when they come to this crossroads and like, I can't do this anymore, they'll be like, oh, I heard about this supporter group. If they're like a Liverpool fan supporter. So that's sort of the vision that like my life doesn't end. I don't have to quit the thing I love the most just because I'm clean. I've seen this other weird little group of 20 people led by some little Swedish girl. They seem to be doing all right, and that people have heard of us and that they know that it's actually possible to do it another way. I'm not aiming to get people to quit drinking. Like that's not why we started this group. It's not to promote people to live a sober life, but for those who cannot handle it, who aren't happy or who aren't content with their life, who are actually just killing themselves with booze, like coming out with us instead. We can still go to games, we can still enjoy football. It doesn't have to be so dark, and obviously a lot of people will still need other help as well, rehab, go to maybe some 12-step groups, and here's another thing I really like about the Sober Spirit of Shankly. We all come together from different like sober schools. So we have some people from something called ABRT. That's like one way of getting clean. We have 12-steppers, and we have some people who aren't in any program. They're just sober. So I really love that we're connecting over the groups. Like we're not just one thought of school or so. We're different, all of us. And that's cool as well, I think. Am I making sense?
No, of course, yeah. No, it's very harrowing to listen to. And I was just going to ask you, because obviously you've dealt with like quite a difficult thing to try and overcome this. But did you have any like? I imagine you did. Did you have any times where you did go back to it? And how, if you did, how did you get yourself back to the point where you wanted to fight even more to overcome it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I actually never did.
Oh, great.
Go back. Most people do, and I think, yeah, you just need to go back to your motivation and to the root of it, I guess.
Is it difficult to find like clean and sober people within football? Like Mick and I said, we take it for granted. Go football, have a few pints, whatever time it is. If it doesn't matter if it's a weekend game or in a Champions League, in the evening, you still have a few pints. You might feel a bit rough in the morning because for us, it's just something, that's just the way it is. So if you're, like you said, you were in Paris and you said it was hard to find people, but is it actually something that it's hard to find, when you're at the spot? Is people actually just, in your opinion and how you see it, just drinking and going to the match? Or can you spot people in one way that, you feel like, some people are not drinking or a little bit more, maybe standing back a bit, or if you know what I mean? Because when you're in a pub, you see people everywhere just having a pint in their hand. So, you can't see if there's anyone there who shouldn't drink or are not drinking. That's my view of it.
Yeah, I think it's just hard to find sober, clean people in general. End of sentence.
Yeah.
And I haven't been very much in the football scene. I'm quite new to it. But yeah, in general, at clubs, at pubs, at things like this, most people find other clean people in rehab or in other like support groups where we go to stay clean. That's where you find them. But the problem is a lot of time you don't share interests. Like I've met lovely people there who supported me along my journey, but we have completely different lives. They don't want to go to Berlin and rave with me or travel to Anfield. Like, you have just completely different interests because we're such different people. So yeah, it is difficult. But now with this group, that's what's so amazing. Like I found out that 2 guys were actually in Paris at the same fan zone where I was. We just didn't find each other. Like 2 of them are now in the group. And I'm like, oh, why didn't we find each other then? It's not like we didn't make it, but it's always a comfort just to stand among 2 other sober people and have a cheers with your Coca-Cola and just be like, yeah, we can do this. Look at us still enjoying life. You just share this sort of weird experience. And it's nice to have those people around you every now and then, which you can imagine, I guess.
Yeah. And I think like Kristian said, like it's like culturally, I can't speak. Culturally ingrained, especially in England. And obviously I've never been to Sweden. I hope that'll change soon when I go over. But in England, it's like you go to the match, you have a pint. That is the thing you do. And it's something that obviously, like I mentioned at the top of the show, like something that people that can't or don't want to and still want to enjoy it, they shouldn't be any different to anyone else who wants to go and enjoy the match and in the same way. So it's I'm hopefully this can be something that, like you said, so there's 28 people in the group now. Did you say?
Something like that.
Oh, great. So that's something, obviously. What have you got, have you got any plans for what you want to do going forward? Or I know it's something that I keep referring to the tweet that you put out, but that was something that you said you wanted to create it, but you didn't really know what to do or what was going to happen in the future. You just had to kind of go with it and see who joined and maybe see who how many people join, and you can kind of gauge how it's going just from that, basically. And have you got any plans, just because obviously you've now got nearly 30 people in there?
Yeah, I'm like the spokesperson for the group, I guess. But I mean, the group is everyone's, and there's no guidelines, there's no rules how to be the group. And so I'm in Sweden. I would actually love to arrange some meetups, but since I'm not in Liverpool, I don't feel like I'll let that to the members, and whoever feel like the calling is theirs to start arranging something. I'm very happy to support them in any way. I have been talking with a really nice guy. His name is Neil. He's in Liverpool as well, and he's been thinking about arranging a meetup in beginning of October. I think it's 3rd. It's a Saturday, so we've been talking about some plans about our first meetup, and just to go to some pub and have some alcohol-free drinks together before the game, like any other meetup is with supporter friends.
Most of the people in that group from Liverpool, are they spread out in England? Like you mentioned before, there was one guy from America. But is most of them actually from Liverpool, or are they spread out in England in different cities?
I'd say like half of them are in England, and the majority of them are in Liverpool. But then we also have quite a few actually in America. I was really surprised. We have quite a few in America. We have one guy in Nepal. We have one guy in Spain. So yeah, we're pretty spread out.
I think it's a great thing as well if you actually do organize a meeting together to go and watch a game and actually meet each other in real life, the people who can travel and can come over for it, and maybe even if you can do some marketing around it when you're there, because there might be more people to actually join in when you're actually there as well, seeing you. And if your group is I guess you obviously telling your story are outspoken with it, but some people might not be. But I'm thinking more of, if you actually do some, if people see you in public, then more people might actually join in because they feel a bit more safe, maybe. There's a group for me, and they can actually join in instead of actually always standing back and not feeling like they, being in an environment where everyone are drinking, but they actually feel like there's people there's people there in a place where I need to be. So do you think like that, or are you just going with the group first, or you actually, if you're going to do something more like in public to make sure more people can actually see and hear you, if you like?
Yeah, no, when I go, it will be my first visit to Liverpool and to Anfield, so I'll make a real big show out of it. I'll make sure to announce my arriving. No, but this is during these 5 years, I've never been outspoken about my sobriety or clean time or being an addict, because why, I'm so much more. But with this, I don't mind going online, like putting my name on this, because I'm proud of it. Like I'm really, this is my baby, this project. And for me, it's a lot like marketing the fun part of sobriety. Like life doesn't end, so I'll make sure to be very inviting and for our first meetups. And I've been talking a lot about addiction as well, like me being an addict and us being, but this is for anyone. If you have a surgery coming up in half a year and you have to cut back on alcohol until then, coming out with us if it's difficult, because it is difficult to cut out alcohol from your life, like we know. So this is for anyone, or if you just want to try it out a few times. I don't know why, but it's not only for the like hardcore alcoholics, where everyone's welcome who wants to join for whatever reason.
But that's the thing, though, like
your kids as well, come with us.
Yeah, that's a good thought as well. But I'm thinking, like you say, I look to myself, and if I go to a pub, and I wouldn't go if I no, I wouldn't be drinking. I'd rather you stay home, do nothing, because if you're in the pub, you're in the environment, so you want to have a drink, and so I'd rather you stay away for a week or two. Don't go to the pub or meet up with people in environments where you can drink. And then when I do, then I know I'm going to drink or have fun in that way, from my point of view. So it's, me and Mick was talking about it the other day, like you don't really, if someone says, I'm only coming out for one, like, I'd rather you stay in, and then next time maybe we have a party or we actually go to the match and we have a few instead. But just going out for one, I'd rather you stay away and try to keep more healthy in that way, not drinking too much during the weeks, being with the family and all that. But then if it is football, or if I do go to Liverpool, or if I travel somewhere else where I'm going to meet up with friends and have a drink, I can't just go into a pub and you say, no, I'm not going to drink today, because that's very weird to me. I'd rather you stay away at all. But if I do go to a pub, I know we're going to have a drink. I can't be there without having a pint, because I feel weird. Do you agree, Mick, or do you get the same feelings?
Yeah, I just, like I said, I'm not going to say the thing I said before because I can't say it, and I need another coffee in my body before I start speaking properly. It's still early, but yeah, it's just one of them. Like, there's just like a bit of a stigma around it, and I think that's the more stuff like this happens, like Dorothea's created stuff like this, the more that this happens and people create groups like this, and like you said, if there's Arsenal fans and they want to start their own, and then you can all of a sudden join up forces and you can become like a Premier League version of it, and then it's when it gets to that point, then that's when it starts to change the perception of people that walk into a pub and they go, actually, I don't fancy a drink today because I'm just going to try and stay off it for, I don't know, a week or a month. And it's just little steps like that, because myself, I've just came back from like 9 days in Greece where pretty much drinking every day, and then I've been to match and drinking. It's like, you get to the point where you're like, I haven't got a problem. I know I haven't got a problem, but when you start drinking a lot, then you're like, this is something you can't keep doing. And I said to Kristian earlier, I'm not going to drink now until for the next 18 days. So that's fine. And I don't drink every day. I think Kristian was trying to say I drink every day. I don't drink every day.
No.
Because I said that to Kristian, he was like, I don't think you're going to do it. I was like, well, there's a challenge. And then the next text was like, actually, I'm doing this thing on Saturday in London. Where we go. We're going to be drinking in London.
Yeah, but it's more like maybe, I guess many people just have a little small glass of wine, for the dinner, in the evening sometimes, maybe once or twice a week, or, you have your pint when you watch Liverpool on TV, if you're like us here in Sweden watching on TV, because we're not, in England and can travel all the time to Anfield. But, that's fine, because that's quite normal. But it's like you said, Mick, if you start to maybe having a pint or two every single day, we're thinking like, I have one or I have two, that's fine. Next day to do the same, and you continue to do that. I know you said obviously you were on holiday, that's another thing. But if you do it in your normal day life, and just keep on doing it for a longer period of time, then I think you should consider, do I have a problem? Because the odd wine or pint every now and then. But if you do it every day, then, it's not a good path that you're onto, because then it's more like you actually need to have a drink and the alcohol, instead of actually just enjoying one drink at some point at dinner or with a friend or whatever. But if you do it every day, then I'm thinking, maybe you should start thinking, is this something that I want to do or need to have? And maybe, take a step back and join into a group like Dorothea created, because that's where you find the communities to support if you need, especially then when it comes to football, or if it's for some other reason.
Yeah, I think it's a good mark if you stop enjoying things, like if things are not enjoyable in your life anymore, and the only thing that gives you enjoyment is the beer or the drug or the whatever you do. And that's what I want to also keep out of football. Like, let's keep football fun for us, If you go there and it's a destructive way of living, then let's redo it, So yeah, that's at least very personal for me. Like, so dancing is my number one passion in my life. And when I didn't enjoy that anymore, when it was all about something else, then I was like a big cue, like something's off. Like, I don't even enjoy my favorite thing in the world anymore. And if maybe favorite thing is football and you're not even enjoying it, it's all just about the beer, then maybe you should question, like, what am I actually doing here?
Yeah, because I know you referenced it before, like Dorothea, like the addiction and stuff. Did you find you were like drinking every day? Was that something you were doing, or was it kind of like a coping mechanism, or was it, like you said, was it to enhance the experiences that you were having?
Yeah, I was a heavy drinker, and it was daily the last year, definitely. So that's one way of being an alcoholic and a drug addict. But I actually think there are more ways to have a very problematic relationship to alcohol than just that one. As I said, if your life is not even enjoyable anymore, because a lot of people actually have a lot of self-control and they can like keep it together for a few days and then they just go all out. And once they start drinking, they have an issue stopping. And there are a few hints where you're like, this might be problematic. And you often think of the alcoholic as someone who cannot stop drinking, who drinks in the morning, who is messing up their whole life, but also like just, not having good relationships to your family, like not living your dreams. If you're just stuck in a life you're not happy with and all you got to look forward to is beer on Friday. I'm not calling you an alcoholic because that's not it, but there's just more ways of having issues. Like that's what I wanted to highlight.
Yeah,
or at least that's my view of it.
But it's like different levels, because I can look, to myself as well, because I lived 4 years in England and went to match for 4 years, 4 seasons, every weekend, almost like home and away. And obviously that was 10, 12 years back now, and I was much more younger. I was in a group of people who enjoyed the drink. We had lots of fun, but I came to a point after one season that I just felt I need to just, be more healthy, probably, go out and do more exercises, run or play football or tennis or whatever, because I felt like every weekend being quite hard on the booze, it took a lot of energy. So I felt almost like I was burning out in the end of one season. So I changed a little bit for the next coming season. I think that was my last season. I can't remember anyway. But I changed a little bit, my behavior. I was more like every week I was going to go out for so many runs. I was going to do this kind of exercise to feel better. And then obviously going to football, I was trying obviously not to drink like spirit and stuff, just drink beers and don't stay up too late. Because usually the seasons before that, we came back to Stoke where we lived and we could stay at one guy's place for another 2-3 hours after we came home from the match and, keep on drinking and staying up really, really late until early morning. And that took the toll of you as well the day after. So the last season I actually tried to just go the match, drink there, but then stop and then go home, sleep. And I felt so much better. So sometimes you just have to stop and maybe just feel like you said, is this a problem, or is it more like I continue to do it every time because I obviously enjoyed going to the match and have a drink, but can I do it differently to feel better? That doesn't mean you have a problem, but you still a problem for your body and mind and how you feel. So like you said, loads of people, like I would say I have self-control because I can say, no, I'm not going to drink now for 2 weeks, and then I do it. But you still can have the issues where it affects your life badly. You gain weight, you feel more tired, you are not as happy, you are grumpy towards friends and family. So it could be a problem in different ways. It doesn't mean you have to be an alcoholic, but it can still have a great impact, negative impact on your life.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, like I know some people use it as like a way, because I've had like anxiety in the past, and I've sometimes used that as a way to cope. So you go, oh, I'll go out. I'm not sure about whether to go or not. Maybe you're going out with people you're not sure, you don't know them very well. So you think, oh, I'll have a pint when I get there, and then I'll have 2 just to kind of get yourself to the level where you feel normal. I think that's a problem as well, isn't it? Because obviously that's maybe maybe now and again, but that's a problem to keep doing that, because obviously then you go out, I need 2 pints to make myself feel normal, and then I'll keep on drinking, and that happens every time. Was that something that came into like how you were feeling as well, dealing with any anxiety, or was it just like an accumulation of like drinking all the time?
Yeah. We often say that addiction is not the problem, it's the symptom. Like the addiction is a symptom of something. And for me, it was definitely not having healthy mental state. So I also suffered from anxiety and some panic attacks when I was younger. And then when you find alcohol and weed, you know, that just takes the edge of things, and you're like, wow, I can work and function now, you know. So definitely like the drinking or the smoking or whatever you do becomes the new state of mind where you like feel normal. But yeah, as I said, after a while, the party's just over. If you have somewhat of a decent upbringing and someone who's put some ambition in you, you start feeling like, wait, is this really the right thing? And I'm 29 now. I can see it in my peers. Like people start questioning, you know, like maybe we should stop having so many beers at the weekend, and maybe we should start working a bit more on our jogging, you know, because people start having back pain all of a sudden. That's what like a normal healthy person do, I think. They question and they change a bit, just like Kristian was talking about, like, wait, this didn't feel great in my body, maybe I should do something differently. Or as you with your anxiety, you question yourself and you analyze, you're like, wait, maybe I shouldn't use this for my anxiety. But that's where the addicted person doesn't stop. Like they just keep smashing over whatever they feel, and they only have that one solution. But I'm also speaking from a personal view, of course. I think there are as many different type of addictions as there are people who are addicted. Like it's so personal, and wherever your rock bottom is and wherever you stop, like it's all so personal. So take whatever I'm saying with a big pinch of salt.
No, I mean, it's like I said, there's so many different variations, but I think hearing someone who's been through it and has decided to change their life, but also wants to enjoy the same things that they enjoyed before, and wants to create a group that can also enjoy the same things, and then you can also come together and collectively you can have a good time, and that obviously it helps you, but it also helps everyone else. So it helps everyone on all fronts. So and I really do think it's a great initiative. It's really, yeah, it's excellent. And in terms of social media, then obviously you've got your Twitter at the bottom there, but have you got like a dedicated like Twitter page?
No, but I only ever use that for the group, and you can find the email there as well to our Sober Spirit of Shankly Gmail. You can find it on that Twitter page as well. So no, that's the two ways of finding us, through the Twitter page that you have written down there, or through the email at the moment. But having you question me about it makes me think I should maybe seek out through some more channels.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like I mentioned before, I think if you make people see the group in different channels and what you're doing, I think there's more people who actually, because I'm sure there's many people out there who would need that kind of group but don't know where to find it. But now when you created it, if you show people like we are here for you, if you want to join in, and it comes to football in this case in Liverpool, just join in and do enjoy football without a drink, because there are people who can do that together as a group. And if you got the support from people around you, I think it's much more easier. So yeah, look at it and see what time you have and stuff like that, because I guess now you're studying and things like that, so it needs to be a thing that you can cope with as well, next to your studies and daily life. So but I think it's a great inspiration that what you've started, so hopefully it will grow and more people can join as well.
Yeah, thanks. And as I said, the reception has just been so great from people like all around. Like even like non-Liverpool supporters, beer drinkers, everyone's like, wow, this is a great initiative. How cool. Why didn't we think of that? So it's been really overwhelming to read and see.
Yeah, because I think like the last maybe 10 years, maybe more actually, where I think like the mental health side of thing has kind of become quite prevalent. And that's like something that it was always like men, especially like the suicide rates. I know this is like a bit dark and stuff, but like suicide rates for men in the UK is just like unbelievably high. Like just people like who seem fine, and then one day they're gone, and it's like because they haven't spoke out. And I think that kind of, don't know if it links completely, but it's something that like if you speak about it more and it becomes more of people know about it nationally and globally, then they think, oh well, I've got these symptoms and I've got these problems, I can speak about it, and I'll ultimately, you can save lives. And it is as serious as that, isn't it? So yeah, like Kristian said, like I do drink and Kristian drinks, but like I know a lot of people that don't as well, and it's something that can be it can change people's lives. So it's really like it's inspirational. That's why we thought we'd get you on here today to talk about it, because it's something that you're passionate about, and all of a sudden I'm suddenly majorly passionate about, and I want you to do amazing stuff. So yeah, Sober Spirit of Shankly.
And Liverpool Football Club has also been big on mental health issues. I've read the foundation they have been working with it, like mental health among men. And after the Paris incident with people not getting into the stadium, they set up some help, some like, what do you call it? Like helpline. And so, yeah, I think it's really like buzzing feels like the really wrong word in terms of such a dark thing as mental health and sobriety. But it is on the rise. People are actually talking about it more and are more open about it. And if it can just help people enjoy whatever they want to do in life, let's talk. Let's keep working on it.
I agree. Like if you can talk about it and normalize that kind of subject as addiction or whatever, then like Mick said, people can speak about it and feel, supported by people around them who has the same kind of problems, or just are in a group because they want to stay away from it for a while or whatever. But if you feel the support and you can speak about it, I guess, like Mick said, you can actually make people feel like they belong somewhere, and hopefully not be in a dark place where they could see, the only way out was suicide. So you can actually give people a place where they can see the light in a way, if you like. So it's a great thing, and I hope that people do find a place in that group and can feel that, yes, this is something that I have been waiting for a long time, because I can't drink for whatever reason, but I have never felt that I got a place to be in. But now I have one and can help to grow the group as well. So it's a great thing, and I hope we will hear that it's growing and what you're doing in the future. We might have you on another show in the future as well, to talk about where you are at the moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that it's not, it can't be understated how big it can be going forward for people who don't want to drink, who do. I mean, even like you said, like even if they don't want to drink full time, they want to just drink now and again, but they want like 6 months off, and they want to find a way to cope with it, then that's the place to go. You're going over to Dorothea's Twitter page, and the emails on there as well. But have you got anything else you wanted to add, Dorothea, in terms of I know you said like plans going forward and stuff, but is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of ideas going forward, or anything like that?
No, not really, more than that. The group is everyone. So if anyone wants to join and have their own vision or have their own ideas of what to do, like I'll leave it up to the members to do. So if you do feel like, I have this idea or I want to do that, like join and get going. It's not anyone's to decide. Like it's everyone's. And I'd love some input, and some other people who also come with some new visions. So welcome everyone.
Yeah, I'm thinking, to end this show, we could talk a little bit, because you mentioned earlier on that you're quite new, like supporting Liverpool and being a fan and all that. So just like shortly, how did you become a Liverpool supporter? Because I've heard you said something about your boyfriend as well. Is he a Liverpool supporter? So that's how you got into it?
That's it. In Swedish, we have a word called medgångssupporter. Do you have that in English?
Yeah, glory hunter.
Oh,
that's not it though. Like that's not actually what I am. But me and my boyfriend, we became a couple in like spring of 2020. So beautiful time to start following Liverpool. And since then, it's been very pleasant to be a supporter. And in the beginning, I didn't care too much. I don't really come from a football family, but I watched along. And when you're together, you watch all the games, of course. And then you buy a T-shirt, and then you go to the first Champions League game.
You get dragged into it. You get dragged into it.
And then all of a sudden, you're in Paris in the fan zone singing "Allez, allez, allez," and it's like, I love this. This is great.
Yeah, you can never go back now.
No, definitely not. And now I'm apparently doing the supporter group, so I'm knee deep, high in, or however you say that. So 2.5 years I've been following them, and it's just growing slowly more and more of an interest.
So what's your thoughts on this season so far?
Well, then as a glory hunter, it's been a terrible season for me so far. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this feeling of losing so many games and playing so many games as a tie. Like it's been horrific. But I understand that when you've been following them for a longer while, you've gone through this before. But yeah, I don't know what's happening with them. Like Trent is just shooting his corners all over the place. Salah is missing the goal. Like it feels very, very odd start of the season, right? Nothing is really working as it usually does.
Yeah, well, I mean, didn't want to timestamp the video, but we've just beat Ajax 2 days ago. But that I know what you mean. It's not. It was nice to get a win against Ajax, but I know what you mean. Like it's not the Liverpool that we know and love. In terms of, me and Kristian have mentioned it when we got beat by Man United. That was the first time we kind of questioned the desire of the team, which is like it felt really weird to do that because we were like, this team is so great, but why aren't they running? Why aren't they running after the ball to close it down? It was just crazy. But I think there's people coming back from injury, so the likes of Thiago, that definitely helps. So, but what a great time to become a Liverpool fan, 2020. So you luckily didn't get to see Roy Hodgson be in charge and Liverpool just being really, really shit back in 2010.
I think that's the thing as well. Like you mentioned, Dorothea, that you started supporting them because your boyfriend was supporting them, and you kind of got into it, and feeling more and more involved. And now you started this, supporters group, Sober Spirit of Shankly. But whenever you start supporting a team, you get involved and you do get, the feelings when it goes really, really well. You are happy, but then when it goes really, really bad, you go straight down again. And, like Mick said, you started supporting them in 2020 when we were really, really good. We are still really good, but hasn't been as good. And straight away when that happens, when you've been spoiled for a while, that's like the worst thing that can ever happen. But like Mick said as well, back in 2010, when I was living in England, Winter Hodgson and really, really bad transfers, we were not in the, competition of winning like anything except for we won I guess it was the League Cup in 2012. But still, football is, to me, so much more than actually just winning trophies, even if that's what you want. But I just like, to be with people, have a laugh, meet up with new people, with old friends, obviously for me, go to the pub, have a few drinks and do all that kind of stuff that's, are around football. The game in itself sometimes is actually just a great, great bonus. I like everything that's all around it. But as soon as it starts to go bad, and we hear it on all channels nowadays. So yeah, that it's up and downs all the time, and that's the life of a football supporter, which is great. Ups and downs.
Yeah, I guess I have to learn to roll with it, but I'm quite the emotional person, so you just get angry and frustrated, don't you?
Yeah.
And I also just I start like having emotional ties to our players. So I was like sad seeing Mane go, like feeling like I lost a friend. And at one point I even started dreaming about the different players. I made up like different like relationship. I dreamt that Virgil van Dijk didn't really like Jota. They didn't have a good relationship. Yeah. So I really like care. I question like how are they feeling amongst themselves, and like feel like I'm getting to know them.
Yeah, I mean, just from like Mane leaving was massive, but like it sometimes feels like a partner's like cheated on you. Like when we lost Fernando Torres to Chelsea, I felt like he was like my partner and he cheated on me, and that is the level. And it was like I was pure betrayal. Same when Michael Owen he left us for Real Madrid, and then he came back and he went to Man United, and I was like. That's like, it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And I don't think, Torres has been forgiven partially now by most fans, but Michael Owen, like, he was amazing for us back in like the early 90s and the late 90s, sorry, and the early noughties. But because he went to Man United for a year or two, he's just not a good guy. But you can appreciate him as a footballer, can't you, I suppose?
Yeah, I didn't have like bad moments when, like footballers leaving Liverpool when I was young. I can't remember feeling, really sad. But when the news broke out about Steven Gerrard maybe going to Chelsea after the Champions League final 2005, and I was like 19, 20 back then. That was the first proper time that I actually felt I didn't want to be a football supporter anymore, because that really did hurt me, because he was my football hero, my idol. He was everything that I wanted to be playing football. That just, a way of following Liverpool as well. So when that turned around and he stayed, I was like, come on, success. So we're like, no one wants to leave Liverpool. But then, like Mick said, Torres left, Suarez left, Michael Owen obviously left. So I kind of felt like, I wouldn't say I was just, shrugging my shoulders and be like, I can't be bothered. But I guess with what happened with Steven Gerrard, kind of, made me a bit strong, that when those kind of situations will happen, I would be like, okay, just another player, as long as it's not Steven Gerrard. That was my go-to thing, and not feel sad and just like move on.
But as sad as you are when they leave, I feel like I'm newly in love still with Diaz. Like when you sign someone new and you get these butterflies in your belly because you like him so much, So it's the other side of it.
Yeah, it's always it's always exciting when we sign new players. So I'm kind of a Nunez fan, even though he hasn't played much. But because he scored against City in the was it Community Shield?
Yeah.
And then obviously he scored against Fulham with a great goal as well. And we could see that he's got the talent. He just, when obviously was suspended for 3 games after headbutting the Crystal Palace player. But it's still like a player that you see, he's got something that you really, really like. So he's a likable player, even though, other teams seems to now hate him, or fans seems to hate him because of his South American, behavior or whatever. But I kind of liked it. But come on, let's go and be a little bit, naughty. Go out on the pitch and just make them angry. So I really like him, even though we're still waiting for him to just start scoring loads of goals.
Yeah, I just feel the same way for Diaz, though. I feel like he has so much willpower. Like that man just fights through sometimes. Like how did he even manage to get out of that situation? He has just this fire, and I love to see that in a player. He's really, really cool, I think.
Yeah, I think Liverpool have a special relationship with players that are named Louis, like Luis Suarez, Louis Garcia, Louis Diaz. Anyone that we sign with Louis as the first name tend to be really, really good. And hopefully that continues going forward. But yeah, Kristian, have you got anything else you wanna throw in the mix?
No, I'm really happy with this show. So I'm settled.
Good stuff. Dorothea, we really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to jump on. I've just put a little banner at the bottom. If you do want to go and support Sober Spirit of Shankly, go and do it via Dorothea's Twitter page, Disco Dancer LFC, and you'll find the email on there as well if you want to get involved. And if you do, please do reach out. It might not be easy if you're struggling with whatever you're struggling with, but there's people and there's other people going through the same thing. So if that's something you want to do and you feel that you're comfortable to do that, then I'm sure Dorothea would absolutely love to start hitting 30s and 40s and 50s in that group chat. And yeah, it's something that is important, not just for Liverpool fans, but for all fans. So definitely get involved. Thanks very much, Kristian. Thanks very much, Dorothea. We really appreciated your time today. And like Kristian said before, hopefully get you back on a show soon, just to check in and see how you're going and see if you're in the hundreds yet, thousands, hopefully. But yeah, thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, then obviously we're not live today, but yeah, do hit the like and subscribe button. We're also on audio pods like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all them. So if you did like the show, do drop us a follow on there and leave us a review or rating, anything like that. But we do appreciate everyone watching and listening, especially to new shows like this, which are different, and hopefully it'll still do as well as the other ones that we've put out. So if you did enjoy it, then please do let us know and just drop us a DM, drop Dorothea a DM to say you really appreciate the show, anything like that. It's something small like that can always be a really boost to someone's day as well. So that's something that you can do that, then great. But I'll stop rambling on. Thanks everyone. Really appreciate that. That was really good. And yeah, we'll see you next time.